Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Draft Show, where today I'm joined by Surrey's Dani Gregory. Dani, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for joining me. The main part of this whole kind of episode is to build your fantasy dream 11 for the summer, which I think is the bit that most of the guests enjoy. Some sweat a little bit, but you never know. At the end of the day, it's your opinion. You can't get it wrong, can you? But we're going to start. We just want to talk a little bit about yourself, get to know you a little bit, and help the viewers kind of figure out how summer's looking, what it's like at Surrey, how the hundreds made an impact on your career and the women's game generally. So, I mean, the first question, and I think it's probably quite a big question, but generally speaking, like how exciting is it at the minute to be a professional cricketer with how much the game has changed for you and for all of your teammates and what these new opportunities actually look like?
Yeah, I mean, straight off the bat, it's obviously incredibly exciting. I mean, I never imagined personally that I'd be in the position I am today. When I first got that first phone call from Richard Bedbrook about my professional contract at Southeast Stars, obviously I was buzzing and I never thought it was possible. And I think safe to say that many of the girls probably never imagined the growth of women's cricket over the last few years would have happened as rapidly as it has. But I think we've obviously got a lot of thanks to obviously these key stakeholders that have invested in us and all the past players that have set the foundation that we've obviously now can play cricket for a living. Obviously, without them and the work that they've done, this never would have been possible for us. And obviously, it's now our time to obviously shine and pave the way for those younger girls coming through and really be role models for them and just go to show that little boys and little girls can both actually dream of playing cricket and it is genuinely possible and you can create a living from it. Um, and I just think now we've obviously got a great opportunity in our hands to just showcase the skills that we have. Obviously, we've seen through the 100, we've seen through obviously the regional system and everything like that, the talent that we have to show. So I think we've really got a pretty great stage now to obviously go out and showcase that and just show everyone what we're capable of.
If I could get you to pinpoint an example of how much it has changed from when you started to 2025, what would be the real standout thing that you'd kind of go, wow, that has changed so much?
I think possibly just as a little 10-year-old girl first picking up a cricket bat. When I was playing, I obviously just grew up watching my brother play and watching men's cricket on the TV, and women's cricket as a job just wasn't a possibility. People were school teachers alongside, going to uni alongside it. But now you can stand up and you just say you are a professional cricketer, and there's nothing alongside that, and that's what it is. It's a full time thing, and something that obviously we're really proud to be able to say.
Yeah, no, it's great. Absolutely. You mentioned the 100. So talk a little about the 100 and again, the positive impact that it has had. How what has that done anything specific to move your game along, your career along that wouldn't have happened if the 100 hadn't existed? How different is life in those 6 to 7 weeks in the 100 compared to life at now Surrey County Cricket Club? What's that like as a cricketer?
Yeah, I think I've been really fortunate. Obviously, I've been involved in every edition of the 100 so far, all the way back to COVID times, which is quite interesting, being stuck in a hotel for a month, literally not being able to go out because of COVID restrictions, but being in an environment whereby obviously you could just play cricket every day and play with some of the best in the world. Obviously, without the 100, that possibly never would have happened. Obviously, yeah, you can get overseas at county cricket clubs and that kind of thing, but to have 3 or 4 of them literally in the rooms next door to you and be able to just chat through cricket with them, is obviously a pretty cool experience. And then not just in terms of obviously like promoting the women's game, but just obviously it creates an incredible opportunity to showcase our game alongside the men's game with those double headers, getting bums on seats rather than just playing to a man and a dog in a random field. Obviously that's pretty incredible, and just the way people can then access our game. It's on TV, it's on Sky, it's through BBC, it's through YouTube. So people don't actually have to travel to the venues to obviously watch us and find out what we're all about. So without that, obviously that never would have happened. And then because of the investment through that, you can now see that filtering back into the women's game. Now they've become a tier 1 structure, and obviously with tier 2, tier 3, and players that people can come and see these players in the 100 and then find out what county they're playing for, and then hopefully it attracts them to come to our county games and see that it's not just on the 100 stage that we perform, but it's throughout that as well. So we can develop a really big fan base, really.
Yeah, and things will continue to change. We've got another massive change this year for the first time. We've got tiers now. You're obviously part of Surrey County Cricket Club, one of the tier 1 squads. Um, that's a big change, but talk to me about the Surrey squad itself. Talk to me about your teammates. Who are you kind of most excited to share a dressing room with this year? Who do you think who will you be there kind of rubbing shoulders with? You'll be looking after some of the younger players and taking advice and experience from some of the more senior ones. How's it setting up at the Oval?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, we're quite fortunate that we obviously come from the Southeast Stars, and our squad hasn't necessarily changed too much. Obviously, we've got a few new additions with Danny Wyatt and Alice Monaghan. So having someone of the caliber of Danny Wyatt coming into the change room is going to be pretty exceptional. We're definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with on the pitch, with the way that we've set up. Um, and obviously, I'm very fortunate. I've been a Surrey girl since I was 12 years old. So actually being able to call myself a professional cricketer for Surrey and play under the three feathers is something that's very close to my heart. So I'm very fortunate with that. But the way obviously the tiers have been created, yes, obviously it can be a bit upsetting for those who are potentially involved in these counties that then don't pick up a professional cricket contract with the county they wanted to. But the development of the other structures as well, tier 2, tier 3, just creates a massive growth for the game. And obviously the depth we can then create across the women's game all the way that filters then down to recreational cricket is massive, which is something obviously that's never been done before. So that's really exciting to see, which I think can then obviously really help the game flourish and just capture the attention. And then in terms of just the Surrey squad, obviously going through pre-season at the moment, and the squad's looking in a really good place. So that's really exciting. And then yeah, hopefully we just produce some good spectacles out on the pitch, which we're definitely capable of doing.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously being part of Southeast Stars, the team that was based at the Oval for its, well, I'd say based at the Oval with a bit of Beckenham as well, but kind of it felt like a Surrey setup anyway. But now it officially is with, as you say, under the three feathers, which is fantastic. Is there alignment now between the men's squad at Surrey and the women's squad at Surrey? Are there collaborative? Is there collaborative work between the two squads? Do you get to speak with one another's coaches and train alongside both squads? Is that something that's happening?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, we're in a great position as a Surrey women's squad, being able to rub shoulders with three-time county champs with the men, and just be able to see what they do on a day-to-day basis, how they go about their cricket, and then how obviously we can improve our setup from that. Because obviously, before where we were based at Beckenham, we were the only team there, so you couldn't necessarily learn from that kind of situation. But we see the men on a day-to-day basis. We've been really fortunate whilst our bowling coach Dan Hellestay was away with the England under-19s. We actually had Jack Brooks come and work with our seamers. So even just collecting the knowledge from him, and his game awareness, he obviously helps not just with the seamers, but he helped in our fielding sessions with our batting sessions to rub shoulders with that, and then obviously see the men's coaches on a day-to-day basis, see with the men as well, have conversations, and we're really adaptable between the two squads in terms of like training space and sharing that, which is really great. And then, but there's just a really great buzz just around the club with all the main staff when we're all at lunch, for them to see obviously two full-time teams with a men and a women's team under one banner, is a really exciting place to be. So hopefully, we can produce some good results for them and then be supporting both teams in the summer.
Absolutely. Leg spin. Let's talk about leg spin because that's quite difficult, isn't it? I think leg spin for me anyway is a lot easier to talk about than it is to actually do it. You've kind of picked
That's true.
arguably the most difficult aspect of cricket that you possibly could have done. How has that been as your development as a leg spinner? What have you learned lately? What have you added to your armory? What variations have you got? Don't give us all the way. Don't kind of start showing the variations. But yeah, you picked a pretty difficult skill set there to perfect.
Yeah, safe to say it's definitely not an easy discipline, but I'm very much one of those people that likes to challenge myself. Hence why obviously I ended up picking leg spin. But it was actually my dad that picked up on it a few years back. I actually started off as a medium pace seamer, but I just kept releasing the ball out of the back of my hand. So he actually wanted to change it. And to be fair, since I changed it about 15 years old, I've never looked back. But like I say, I like pushing myself out of my comfort zone, trying to develop something new. So leg spin was a nice challenge to take on. It's definitely come a long way. You have good days and you have bad days where the ball just doesn't come out nicely, but that's just the art of it. But where was I going to go there? But you just learn from the different pitches you play on, talking to different people. Obviously, I had a few really good coaches across my career so far, and Dan Hellestay that I'm working with at Surrey, he's been really really helpful in the development of my game. So I'm yeah, it's in a really good space at the moment. In terms of variations, obviously, I'm not going to give them all away to my competition because they can quite easily watch us, and then in the summer they'll hit me out the park. But no, I just look to take the pitch into consideration, what best comes out on that sort of day, and then use my sort of like wrist positioning to help me out, whether that be with my topspin, my googly, or my genuine leggy. But yeah, we just vary that based on the conditions, really.
And the fourth mystery delivery that we're not going to speak about. The big question of the episode was about building this fantasy dream 11 for your no budget squad for the Vitality T20 Blast this year. You've got some rules that you had to follow, which just makes it slightly more difficult. It just means you can't pick all your mates. But essentially what they are is you can only pick 3 players from the same team. You have to pick at least 3 and 5 batters, 2 and 4 all-rounders, 1 wicket keeper, a proper wicket keeper, and then 3 and 5 bowlers. Now, I know we spoke before we started recording. You've done some research. You've done your homework for it, Dani. So if you'd like to take us away with, well, if you've got any opening thoughts, was it difficult to build your squad? How long did it take you to put it together? And then just run us through some batters.
Safe to say it was really hard. Like you say, I couldn't pick all my mates. I'd love to have just picked the Surrey squad if I could, but that's obviously being biased. And then I also tried to not go down the route of obviously you could quite easily just pick every England player going. So I went with domestic players that are probably likely to play week in, week out, which is where you want to get your fantasy points from. But first up, I couldn't really look past Bryony Smith. Obviously, she is my skipper, but she's one of the best T20 batters going on the domestic circuit. So she was going to open up with Holly Armitage at 2. Again, a big power hitter, and she's obviously been around the game for a long time. So her game awareness is second to none. And then another fellow player of Paige Schofield at 3. Again, you still highlight things up in the hundreds. So she's pretty spectacular when she gets going. I've gone Catherine Bryce at 4, gives me the bat and the ball, which helps things out. And then Georgia Ellis at 5, just to steady the ship if we needed her, but also she's pretty handy with the ball with her cutters. Freya Kemp at 6, a little bit of power hitting. She's got some long levers and she can get over the boundary rope more often than not. With my wicketkeeper of Sarah Bryce at 7, she's been pretty handy in the WPL recently, especially with the gloves and with the bat. And then Katie George at 8, obviously gives me that left arm option, but also really good in the field, and then a bit of power hitting too. I've got Maddie Villiers at 9, obviously offie, can turn the ball loads. With Lindsay Smith at 10, obviously gives me that left arm offie option, and then I had to back myself, so I put myself at number 11 as our leg spin option.
I love it.
Gotta have a little bit of confidence in my own ability, but obviously you need that ball turning away from the bat as well.
I respect it. You're the first person ever to take on one of these challenges and put themselves in the squad. So fair play to you for doing that.
I sound a bit cocky, but it's not in that way. But I've got to back my own ability.
I think I've done about 7 of these now, and I've been waiting for somebody to put themselves in there. So far, everybody's been a bit too modest, but Dani, you've gone for it, and fair play to you. So just to run you back through if you need it. So Bryony Smith, Holly Armitage, Paige Schofield, Catherine Bryce, Georgia Ellis, Freya Kemp, Sarah Bryce, Katie George, Maddie Villiers, Lindsay Smith, and Dani Gregory.
Nice name.
It's a squad. Do you reckon you're making finals day?
With that squad, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, I would say so. Odds on for the trophy as well. Are you going to give yourself the captain's armband as well, Dani, for this side, or are you going to look elsewhere?
No, I'm going to have to back my own skipper and give Bri the captain's armband.
Sorted. Lovely stuff. Well, Dani, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. Wish you all the best of luck for the summer ahead at Surrey and your pre-season training over in Abu Dhabi. I think you said you're off to. So yeah, have a great time, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.